final place on this evening's ghost tour of the haunted buildings in the city of Chester. Oh, come on everybody, I'm sorry it's raining, but it wasn't forecast like this on AccuWeather. Sorry about the weather yet again. Eastgate Street, sir. Eastgate, just out there. Sorry about the weather yet again. Do you know where you're going off? Eastgate Street. Has anybody seen the Russians?
Oh, they're down by the cross.
Hurry up, please. Sir, madam. Eastgate Street. Just out there. Sorry about the weather. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final place on this evening's ghost tour.
A chocolate shop.
Yes, sir, a chocolate shop.
This one takes the biscuit. Or rather, this one takes the chocolate.
Shush, Nigel. You're so cynical. I don't know why you bothered to come on this tour with me.
Nor do I. Promise me you're not going to be this silly little Americans.
Why? Are you having second thoughts then, Nigel?
Maybe. I can't think of all this stuff and nonsense.
I read stories about this place. It's true. This place is haunted. That's what they say.
Don't be ridiculous.
I tell you, a girl killed herself in there. Up there on the first floor.
I can't believe some people can be so gullible.
Ladies and gentlemen, 39 Eastgate Street. A chocolate shop. I want you to try to imagine this place a long time ago. Possibly over 100 years ago, in fact. Nobody really knows the exact date.
Yeah, I bet they don't.
Quiet, Nigel. You're being rude now. Give the poor man a chance.
Of course, we don't know what kind of shop or workshop it was, but we do know that there were rooms above it, a lodging house, and a young girl killed herself up in that room, and ever since they say her ghost has haunted this building.
I don't believe you. You're making this up.
I assure you, sir, a young girl by the name of Sarah, probably only a few years younger than you, killed herself up in that room when her boyfriend jilted her on her wedding day.
Have you seen a ghost? Of any of you?
Personally, no. But I've heard stories about her ghost causing havoc in the shop, knocking over boxes of chocolates, especially around Valentine's Day. Sarah is said to be the cause for strange noises being heard from empty rooms, doors being opened or shut by an unseen hand, and a cold presence loitering in the cellar.
So what else do we know about this girl, Sarah?
Oh, very little indeed. When was she born? We don't know. Was she born in Chester? Did she have many brothers or sisters? We don't know. We must use our imaginations to fill in all those gaps. So, picture the scene with me now. It's early morning, 1840, and Sarah is arriving at Chester railway station with her older sister. As I walked out on a midsummer morning,
As I walked out on a midsummer morning, to view the fields and to take the air,
down by the banks of the sweet primroses,
'Twas there I beheld a most lovely fair.
fair maid, why do you wonder? And what's the occasion of all your grief?
I'll make you happy as any lady.
If you'll grant me one small relief.
Stand up! Stand up! For you are deceitful. You are a false, deceitful young man. 'Tis plain.
'Tis you that has caused my poor heart to wander.
And to give me comfort lies all in vain.
I will go down to some lonesome valley, where no man on earth there shall me find, where the pretty small birds do change their voices,
and every moment blows blusterous wind.
So, come all young men with a mind for courting.
Won't you pay attention to what I say?
For there's many a dark and a cloudy morning turns out to be a bright sunshiny day.
and we look in there. Then we look in shop windows to see if there are any vacancies, like we would if we were back home.
Couldn't you have just stayed at home in Birkenhead?
Sarah.
But we don't know anybody here in Chester. We should have stayed home.
We agreed what we were going to do. We can't back out now.
Perhaps we got it wrong. Perhaps we should have stayed put.
We couldn't stay there any longer. We agreed we weren't going to put up with Father's behaviour any longer.
I just wish we brought Sammy with us.
No, we couldn't do that. Sammy's far too young. Anyway, what we've done with him, he's better off at home for the moment.
As long as Dad doesn't hurt him in one of his drunken rages.
He won't. Sammy was always Dad's favourite.
Well, can we back to Sammy in a few days? When we've got settled then?
No, we can't. Father will find out where we are, and we don't want that happening. Listen, when we've got settled here, perhaps in a few years, we can write to Sammy then, when he's a bit older.
But I miss Sammy already!
Sammy's fine. Look, let's try and get ourselves sorted out here. Take your mind off him.
I'm hungry.
You've been hungry since the day you were born. He came out yelling for food.
But I'm hungry.
First things first, we find ourselves some lodgings. Else we might be sleeping on that bench over there.
We'd be very cold if we had to do that.
Excuse me, ladies. Can I be of any assistance?
We're fine. Thank you.
You look a bit lost, if you don't mind me saying. I'm glad to offer you any help I can.
We're new here at...
Allow me to introduce myself. I go by the name of Styles. Robert Alfred James Styles. But everybody just calls me Jimmy.
I said, we're fine, thank you. Don't you understand? We don't need no help. Take yourself off.
Pray excuse me, ladies. No malice intended. Just trying to do my Christian duty.
Why did you do that, Grace? He seemed a very thoughtful young man to me.
You're so naive, Sarah. He looks to me like a perfect gal sneaker. Robert Alfred James Styles. What a mouthful. Anyway, what's a respectable gent doing loitering around the railway station at this time of day? Respectable young fellows should be at work at this time of day.
I know you understand a lot more about the workings of the world, sister. But I wouldn't have called him a gal sneaker. He was perfectly polite and didn't try and force himself on us like some young fellas do.
Trust me, Sarah. We don't need nobody else for the moment. We need to look after ourselves first, until we get settled. Let's try and find ourselves some lodgings. Here, this way looks promising. Let's try and look down this road.
I wish we could afford a night at the Queen Hotel. Over there. I bet they have proper fancy rooms in there.
Stop your dreaming, Sarah. That place looks proper afternoonified. The only time you might see inside a place like that is through the tradesman entrance. If you get a job as a kitchen maid, now come on, Sarah, follow me and don't dally on the way.
Jimmy, sorry I'm a bit late. The train hasn't gone yet, has it?
No, don't worry, Charles.
Where are your bags, Jimmy?
I'm not coming with you, brother. I can't, I'm sorry. I've thought about nothing but this all night. And I've searched my conscience and come to the conclusion that I must stay here. I believe the best for you, unfortunate brother. As I believe the best of you, Charles. It is a rule that all good Christians should follow.
Jimmy, you will live to regret this, brother.
Maybe. But my mind is resolved.
A new life, in a new young country, the two of us.
But we can't leave father on his own now. Mother has passed on. Someone needs to stay and take care of him.
So it was all talk after all. All that reading about Montana, Ohio, Oklahoma.
No, Charles.
All those books about farming and setting up our own lives in the new world. It was all a waste of effort.
Godspeed you, brother. I wish I could come with you, I really do, but I must do what I see fit and proper. You train to lift 4 leaves in a few minutes. Do you need some help with your bags, Charles?
I must be going, I know. God knows if we will ever see each other again in this life, dear brother.
I'll explain to father when I see him tomorrow. He'll understand. Here is no life for you. Go carefully, brother. Remember us kindly sometimes.
Are you sure you won't change your mind? I will write to you when I am settled in America.
Go, go. God bless you, Charles. In all the worlds there'll never be such a time as this again. For who can tell what will befall before we meet again?
There will be changes to our lives. Maybe sorrows, maybe joys.
And many bridges to be crossed before we meet again.
I'll see your likeness everywhere, in the face of every friend.
I'll hear your voice in quiet lands until we meet again.
From the injustice all around, and the sorrows and the pain,
A better time will surely come before we meet again.
So take good care in all you do.
and keep your spirits high.
My thoughts will always be with you until we meet again.
Chester, in the middle of the 19th century, your typical market town with an ancient cathedral at its heart, a noisy, thriving place.
Folks are drawn here from the Wirral, Cheshire, Shropshire, and much further afield. There's plenty of Irish folk who make their way here to work in the fields, and then they say to find other jobs in the area.
This is number 39 Eastgate. My brother and I have a workshop on the ground level. We have a small business of ticket and show card writers, dealers in advertising novelties.
Wallace and Arthur Barnes.
In these days, most high-class jewellers, tailors, and outfitters too want neat, gold-edged, small tickets which are handwritten and placed in the shop windows with the details of the articles they sell.
We also create posters and leaflets too, made to measure, very fashionable now.
Skilled work, this.
Most of the lettering is done in outline by my brother Arthur and our master craftsman.
And then the boys and the apprentices shade in the letters with the colours required.
The rest of 39 Eastgate is lodgings. Not common lodgings, you understand.
We have tradesmen living here, clerks, not migrant workers and the like. Here 1 minute, gone the next.
In the attic upstairs, there's a broken down old gentleman who's fallen on hard times. We think he used to be an engineer.
We have 2 insurance agents. Some of our own apprentices lodge here. We have a schoolmaster, an actor.
A solicitor's clerk.
That's Jimmy, and his father.
I live in the room at the back of the workshop with my son Jimmy. I do little jobs around the place, sweeping, fetching and carrying. All my life I was a furnace man. That is until the glare of the heat and the flames that did the damage to my eyes, and it stopped me from working there. But Jimmy takes good care of me now.
It was a bleak October morning when 2 young girls turned up at our door looking for a room.
They seemed clean and respectable enough.
But I soon set them straight about their behaviour. This is the one, the only one we've got at the moment. Take good care of that. I'll need it back when you leave.
We had a gentleman in this room previously. Very proper young man. Quiet. Had to return to Connemara to bury his mother.
We don't expect a lot of noise, you know. No singing, no shouting out at night.
We can squeeze into the bed in the corner, but will cost extra.
1 bed will do us fine. My sister and I are used to sharing a bed.
As you like. Let me be plain with you. This is no common lodging house, I hope you understand. We have a respectable group of persons lodging here.
My brother collects the rent in advance on Saturday afternoons.
If you can't pay on the spot, you'll be out on the street straight away.
And what do you say you 2 young girls did for a living?
Shop workers in Browns of Chester?
Which department?
Millinery, and my sister Sarah's starting on Monday in furnishings.
Windows must be left open before you go to work, so as to fumigate the rooms.
No visitors in rooms.
The privy is in the yard out back. There's a hot stove down in the cellar where you can make yourself a hot drink of an evening.
This place ain't bad for a few weeks. Bit of a stale smell, but at least it's quite clean. It's cold. It's better than that bench at the railway station.
Why did you tell them I had a job at the furnishing department at Grounds? I haven't got a job there, have I?
I had to tell them something. Look, we'll start looking for a job for you early tomorrow. Sewing, mending, or even perhaps laundry work.
Have you just moved in here then?
We have, if it's any of your business. Barging in here.
I knew the gent who had this room. He only moved out last evening. Educated gentleman he was. Said he had to go back to Ireland. He was writing a book. The day I went to Clifton, he called it. Said it would describe his travels on the west coast of Ireland and the characters he met on the way. Didn't sound like much of a book to me, but I'll miss him nevertheless. He had a wonderful way of talking.
You lived here long then?
Too long, I can tell you. Need to watch out for some of the others in this place. Especially that actor, lives on the floor above. A right lurker in my book. He'd steal pennies from his own grandmother. Crazy Michael is what some people would call him. But that's not what I would call him. Jimmy's alright though. Lives behind the workshop with his father.
I met a fellow by the name of Jimmy this morning. Robert Alfred James Styles. Not that Jimmy.
You know him already?
He approached us this morning at the railway station. Rather too forward for my liking.
Oh no, Jimmy's a regular brick. A real treasure in my book.
Well, not in my book. Who's this with you then?
Oh, this is my daughter Rose. She doesn't have much to say for herself most of the time. She's not simple. She watches everything she does. Sharp she is.
Rose is a very pretty name.
You won't get her to talk. Unlike her mum, eh?
So we can see.
I'm sorry to go blabbing on, but folk need to be warned about this place. Nancy's my name, by the by. I work in an laundry in Newtown.
Does the laundry have any jobs going at the moment?
Is it for yourself you're asking?
No, my sister, Sarah.
Well, they always need willing young girls in the laundry. Your sister might get employment, but you'll need a strong constitution to survive the steam and the smell of the workshop and the back chat from the boys. I'm used to laundry work, me. My mother, she used to wash for the big house, and I can remember how all the linen was brought to our cottage in a wheelbarrow. How she ever managed all that washing without the use of anything, I don't know. She had an old brick copper and she'd stand until 2 in the morning, ironing with a box iron. 6 pence an hour she was paid. Her husband, he was in the army, and she washed. That was her life. Drudgery. Just like mine is now.
Does the laundry need a seamstress, perhaps? Do you know, my sister Sarah's worked as a seamstress for a short while. She's very neat and tidy with her work.
I enjoy the needlework.
She can do piecework, no problem. She can work here, alone in this room.
Well,
she's used to that.
You have to go to the laundries yourselves. You know, speak to Mr. Wakefield, he's in charge. Might be able to help you.
Thanks for that.
God's blessing on you. That's what Father used to say when he wasn't drunk.
I'll perhaps see you later then. Down in hell? Mr. Barnes tell you about downstairs. Hell, that's what we call it. There's a small stove in the cellar where you can make a hot drink of an evening. Full of smoke, smells like a chicken's yard. It's warm and friendly.
He did. I don't think we'll be coming down tonight. We're rather tired.
As you please. Remember, Mr. Wakefield, that's the man you need to speak to in the laundry. Rose!
Do you think we will ever settle here, Grace? It all seems so strange. Let's go back home tomorrow, sister. I'm missing home already.
We can't go back now. It's way too late for that. Look, you'll soon get used to life here. I'll go and see Mr. Wakefield at the laundry tomorrow. See if we can get you fixed up with some needlework.
One spring early morning, I chanced for to rose. I sat myself down by the side of the grove, and there did I hear the sweet nightingale sing. You've never heard so sweet as the birds in that spring, all on the cold, cold ground. I sat myself down, and the sound of the nightingale re-echoed all around. Hark, hark, as she warbles her notes, I declare, no music, no songster with her could compare. Come all that are here, these birds footed here. Come all that are here, these birds footed here. And quickly draw near. I pray and when you grow old, and quickly you'll have it to sing. And when you grow old, sweet, you will have it to sing. So sweet. You've heard so sweet, you've heard so sweet. You've heard so sweet as the nightingales sing.
Hello, Father. What are you doing standing outside in such cold weather?
I saw you coming up in the lane just now. From a distance, I thought it was your brother, Charles.
I've brought you some cheese, Father. I'm sorry, I didn't have any bread left.
That's very kind of you, Jimmy.
So, how are you feeling today, Father?
Well, apart from the backache and my sore eyes, I feel as well as can be expected, really.
I saw Charles today, Father.
Charles?
Charles. Your son. My twin brother.
Oh, I haven't seen him in ages. Where is he?
Well, Charles set sail for America this morning, Father.
America is a long way, isn't it? What's he going there for?
Well, he wants to start a new life for himself. He intends to go out to Montana to farm the land.
My father worked the land. He was a good man.
We know, Father.
He used to bring home large, ripe pears from work sometimes. Large, juicy pears. We ate them like we hadn't eaten in weeks. But then there was the accident. Father couldn't work anymore. We all got sent to the workhouse. That was a bad time.
We know, Father. Charles asked me to give you this. Grandfather's timepiece. Grandfather gave it to Charles just before he died.
Why would I want a timepiece? I wake when the sun rises and retire to my bed when it sets. Time is of no importance to an old man like me.
Please, Father, take it. Charles thought you might like it now. And it must be worth some considerable value.
Viable it may be, son, but this will not keep me from the workhouse, because that, I know, is where I will end my days. I pray every morning on my bended knees for the good Lord to save me from that terrible fate.
But you must not speak in this fashion, Father. You will not come to the workhouse, I can promise you that.
But I know in my heart 'tis all in vain. You see, my mother, and her mother too, spent their last days in that pauper palace, confident, choked themselves to death with no one to care.
That won't happen to you, Father. I can promise you that.
Rose? Rose?
There's two young sisters that just moved into the room upstairs, Jimmy. Have you seen them?
I have, Father. I met them this morning. And I think the youngest sister has already struck up a friendship with Rose, young Nancy's daughter. Two young roses in bloom, eh, Father?
Mr. Wakefield says he is giving us a trial. Piecework, you understand? It's tuppence. We are to collect shirts that need repairing of an evening, but we must have them back to him by the following afternoon.
What do we have to do?
I'll show you. It's mostly simple stitching, but you must keep it neat and tidy. I'll do the embroidery if there is any. I've done embroidery work before. When I left school, I worked for this big house in Oxton. I did some laundry work to start off with there, but when they saw my embroidery, I was put to work on repairing and patching. You give her a job and she completes it in no time. That's what the old housekeeper said about me.
Well, you'll have to teach me what to do.
We must start early in the morning. It's going to take most of the day to finish all of these.
Anything's better than the steam room at the laundry. Oh, God, that place is horrible.
And while we work, we can talk and tell each other stories. That'll be nice, won't it?
In our workshop, we employed a young man named Wilhelm. He seemed an honest worker, capable of producing beautifully written show cards and tickets. Wilhelm, if you'll finish Mr. Brownlow's orders, can you take them down to him at Northgate Street?
He's married to a foreign lass, not a local girl. Russian, they say. Met her at Liverpool Docks, from a wealthy family. Disowned her, I hear. They have a child less than a year old.
Sometimes, the wife would appear at the shop, demanding to talk with her husband.
Where is Wilhelm? Where is my husband? I need to speak with him immediately. Where is he?
He's not here at the moment.
He's taking some cards to a customer in Northgate Street.
But I need to speak with him. It's urgent. Don't you understand? We have no money at all. I need to buy some food, some bread for the baby.
Well, tell him what you have to say when he returns.
If Wilhelm was here, they would argue and shout, always, about money.
I don't know what he does with his wages, I'm sure.
They never seem to have any money to feed their child.
Over time, we noticed that Wilhelm became friendly with the younger sister, Sarah, who's in the needle trade.
Sometimes, we would ask Sarah to carry messages or small orders for us.
She said that she needed a break from sitting in her room early morning until late at night.
She was a friendly little body.
We thought we were helping her out with a little extra cash. She said her sister wouldn't mind her doing these small errands.
But little did we realise how it would eventually turn out. Quite broke our lives, she did.
And anyway, I deliver those cards for you, Wilhelm. Mr. Barnes lets me do little errands. Perhaps one time I'll bring my son down here and we can talk more.
Of course. Perhaps you'll find time to speak to him later, but remember, Mr. Barnes doesn't approve of us speaking.
Wilhelm, stop your chattering and see to the customer, please.
I want to
Wilhelm, you young scoundrel, we haven't seen you for a long time. Where have you been hiding yourself?
Just busy, working, you know.
You working? I don't believe it. After everything you've said about being a free spirit, not shackled by society's constraints. Like that artist you're always talking about.
Blake?
Blake, that's the one. Yes, you were always quoting some lines of his.
The mind forged manacles.
That's the one. Yes, a few years back you wanted to be a writer, an artist like him. Is that not so?
Poet. And yes, two of my poems have already been published. I hope to see more in print very soon.
I'm impressed.
I live in hope.
So how do you occupy your days now that you no longer frequent the beer shop?
Not my position here as a ticket writer.
Is it well paid?
No, I'm only learning the trade, but I enjoy the company of hard work and craftsmen who teach me many things.
Wilhelm, where is that money? That money I kept in the tin box. The money to buy us food for the next 2 days. You've taken it, haven't you? That was the last few coppers we had. What are we to use to buy food for our child now? You're an utter disgrace as a father, Wilhelm. Stealing food from your own child's lips. You make me sick. What have you got to say? Nothing. Nothing. I hope you rot in hell one day. Have you really not got anything to say?
I'll try and borrow a small sum from friends, my love.
And you think I believe that?
We can't have that kind of outburst happening in the shop, Wilhelm. We need calm and quiet here. You'll have to stop your wife creating that sort of commotion on these premises. Do you understand?
Of course, sir. It won't happen again, sir. I'll make sure of that.
Begone, dull cat! I prithee, begone from me! Begone, dull cat!
You and I shall never agree.
Long time hast thou been tarrying here, and fain thou wouldst me kill.
But in faith, dull care, thou shalt never have thy will.
Too much care will make a man turn grey.
And too much care will turn an old man to clay.
My wife shall dance, and I shall sing, so merrily pass the day.
For I hold it one of the wisest things to drive dull care away.
It is now early evening. A few weeks later,
Life goes on at its own inscrutable pace.
business is good as more money floods into the city.
The young girls, Sarah and Rose, spend long hours patching and repairing in their rooms.
Grace hurries to work at 7 o'clock every morning, no matter the weather.
Jimmy's father sweeps and cleans the workshop floor as best he can, all the time cursing his bad back.
Then, one evening, Grace returns to her lodgings to find her sister in a very agitated state.
Sarah? What are you doing, Sarah? You look a bit flushed. Are you not well? Where's your work? Why are you not mending these shirts? The gentleman wants them by morning.
I will get them finished by the morning. I promise it. I was just a little flustered and I stopped for a moment.
Flustered? What has made you flustered? Sarah, have you been outside again? Alone?
Just for some air, sis. It's awful close in this room all day.
I don't want you wandering outside this room without me. It's a wicked world out there. Where did you go, sis?
Not far, sis.
To the park.
It's so lovely there. We should go there sometime.
Lovely it may be, but a lonely young girl is putting herself at risk by wandering through there alone. Did you speak to anybody?
No. I promise, sis. I didn't utter a word.
But somebody spoke to you. Who was it who spoke to you, Sarah?
I didn't say anything to him. He spoke to me.
I don't want you to leave this room without me. Do you understand? Who was it who spoke to you?
Jimmy.
Jimmy who lives downstairs. Jimmy Styles.
He was only passing the time of day. Nothing else, sis.
You know my thoughts about him.
It was only a few moments. Just a few passing comments.
What did he say, sis?
I forgot now. Just about the weather. About us. About you, Grace.
He must have said more than that to put you in such a fluster.
Well, he said how pretty I look today.
I don't want you leaving this room without me. Do you understand?
It was only a few minutes. Nothing happened, sis.
And what about your work? These shirts need finishing.
Yes, sis.
Sarah, this is the letter I was sending you.
What are you doing here? I thought I told you to keep away from my sister, distracting her from her work.
Jimmy was just telling me about his twin brother,
Charles.
who's recently boarded a ship in Liverpool bound for America. Jimmy was going to go with him, but...
Someone's got to stay and look after father now that mother has passed on.
Oh, Grace, look at this letter. It's come all the way across the ocean.
Yes, he posted it when he arrived in New York. Yes, well, I must be going now. But it was good to see you again, Miss Sarah. And you, Grace.
You're not to talk to that young man. Do you hear me? You stay here and get on with your work. with Rose.
It is now early in the following year. This winter has been particularly cold and wet. Very wet.
Rain is no good for business. So times have been difficult. Very few orders, very little money.
The friendship between Wilhelm and young Sarah seems to be getting stronger by the day.
I don't know how the older sister, Grace, wasn't aware of this friendship developing. But I suppose she was so busy with work that she didn't have time to notice what was happening right under her nose.
Many's the time we'd find Wilhelm and young Sarah talking and whispering together in the shop.
His wife would still turn up, not screaming and shouting any longer, quieter, more broken, as their little son was ill and constantly in need of medicine.
Please, Mr. Barnes, please, I beg you, in advance, just a few pence to tide me through the next few days. We have no food at all. You can take it out of my husband's wages at the end of the week.
We can't do that. It's your husband's wages. You were sort of smashing out with him and not us.
We felt sorry for the young woman,
Sometimes I gave her a few pennies.
but it was difficult to know how to help.
Wilhelm!
Sarah, it's getting later. I thought you weren't coming.
I can't stop long, Wilhelm. My sister will be home soon and she doesn't like me out here alone.
I brought you a book, Sarah. A book of poetry. I love poetry, don't you?
I can't take no book from you, Wilhelm. What can I do with a book? If my sister Grace saw it, she wanted to know where I got it from.
But it's for you, Sarah. It's a special book. A gift from me. A token of my love, if you like.
I can't have it, Wilhelm. I'm sorry. You keep it until we can be together properly.
Please take it, Sarah.
You promised that we'd soon be together forever. Then we can share the book. You can read passages out to me on the evenings by the light of the candle.
Have you heard of the poet John Keats?
I read some poems at Sunday school. That's all, but I don't know who wrote them.
This poem is entitled The Eve of St. Agnes, and it's by John Keats, my favourite poet. He based it on the ancient belief that a girl, like Madeline in this tale, on the eve of St. Agnes could see her future husband in a dream.
Is that true, Wilhelm?
Why not? Poetry is truth.
When is it Eve of St. Agnes, Wilhelm?
Next week, 20th of January, my darling.
Will I be able to see my future husband? Do you think? On that evening?
If you sincerely believe with all your soul, your husband will be shown to you in a searing vision.
I do believe, Wilhelm. I do.
Listen to this, Sarah. This is how Keats describes Madeline's future husband standing before the castle walls. Meantime, across the moors had come young Porphyro, with heart on fire for Madeline. But tryst from moonlight stands he, and implores all the saints to give him sight of Madeline. If only I could like that. But perhaps one day I will.
When are we to be married, Wilhelm? Have you decided on a date yet? You promised it would be soon.
Soon, darling. Soon. It will definitely be soon.
Swear on that book, Wilhelm, that you will marry me.
I can't. It's not the Bible.
But it's a precious book for you. That's good enough for me. Now promise me.
It will be soon. Very soon, my darling. I intend to see the vicar in the next few days.
Promise?
I've spoken the truth to you, my darling. I just need some time to conclude my financial affairs. Then, Sarah, where are you going?
I must go back upstairs now, Wilhelm. We can't keep seeing each other like this. When you have arranged the day of our marriage, send me a message. But until that time, we cannot be seen together again, Wilhelm.
All right, Saturday. Meet me outside Christchurch in Newtown on Saturday.
Do you mean that, Wilhelm? This coming Saturday?
That's at the church. Everything will be arranged by then, never fear.
But what about my dress? swear.
Just come as you are, but tell no one. This must be our secret. Not even Rose.
I'll be there. I'll wear the yellow shawl my mother left us when she died.
Wilhelm, who are you talking to?
Told you not to come and bother me at the shop.
Who was that girl you were talking to?
No one. Just go home now. I don't want Mrs. Barnes to see you here.
I only came to remind you to get some laters for baby Ivan's cough. It's getting worse every day.
Just go home now. I'll see to that.
Of an evening, we would all sometimes gather in the cellar beneath the shop. There would be a small stove where we made hot drinks, and we sat and we talked. We talked about the past and the better times, and sometimes I'd even recite a poem. Of all the money I've ever spent, I've spent it in good company, and all the harm I've ever done, alas, it was to none but me.
And all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night, and joy be with you all.
Of all the comrades I've ever had, they're sorry for my going away. And all the sweethearts I've ever had, they'd wish me one more day to stay.
But since it falls into my lot that I should rise and you should not, I gently rise and softly call. Good night, and joy be with you all.
If I had money enough to spend, and leisure time to sit a while, there is a fair maid in this town that surely has my heart beguiled.
With rosy cheeks and ruby lips, I own she has my heart in thrall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night, and joy be with you all.
Grace, you're too late. You just missed Jimmy's father reciting a poem, and before that, the schoolmaster was playing his accordion. He doesn't bother to come down here most evenings, but when he does, he sometimes brings his accordion, plays some tunes. Well, he always plays these rather sad tunes that make me think of home and the time gone by. I'd rather he played some dance tunes, some jigs and reels, but any music's better than none. It reminds me of an uncle of mine who used to play the violin.
I'd like to have heard it. I do quite like a lonesome violin tune.
Are you alone tonight? Where's your sister?
She seems a little sickly this evening.
I've heard say there's been some cases of typhoid in the city lately.
I do hope it's not that. I think she's just tired.
She seemed well when I saw her earlier this evening. She was laughing and talking, seemed in high spirits, with a young gentleman she was in Northgate Street. I couldn't see his face clearly, but she seemed to be rather familiar with him.
Jimmy, you mean? I've told her to be wary of him.
No, this wasn't Jimmy. I didn't recognise the chap. He looked quite respectable though, smartly dressed.
She's sure about this? You sure this was Sarah?
It was your sister, definitely. I thought at the time, I bet Grace doesn't know anything about this. She saw me, I'm sure. Looked away sharpish. I thought I'd better tell you. You're being so protective of her.
You've fair taken my breath away, Nancy. I know she'll be going to the park of an afternoon for a few moments when I'm in work, and I've instructed her not to talk to anybody, especially any young man you don't know.
It looked like she knew this coat all right. They was laughing and talking in a manner like they was good friends.
I need to speak to her now. Will you come with me, Nancy?
Oh, Wilhelm. Where have you been, Wilhelm? Why are you home so late again?
I had to work late tonight, dearest. Told you earlier on in the week, didn't I?
No, I don't remember that.
Is there anything for supper, dear?
You seem to be doing a lot of extra work at the moment, Wilhelm. But I don't see any extra money coming in.
Is there any bread and cheese?
Cheese costs money. Where am I to get that money to buy food for our child, never mind buy cheese. And where is the linctus for our child? You've forgotten it, haven't you?
Yeah, yes, is there nothing to eat?
There's cold potatoes, that's all. What's that in your hand?
I've brought you this book of poetry, dear. I know you like poetry. Remember when we used to read poetry together by the light of the candle? It's by John Keats, my favourite poet.
Poetry doesn't feed our son, Wilhelm. You remember what the doctor told us. If we don't feed him properly, he will fall sick again. But you just spend your money on poetry books while your child starves in this filthy hovel.
Why are you so mean-spirited, dearest? I've brought you a book of beautiful poetry and you just throw it back in my face. What thanks is that?
Thanks? Thanks? I have sacrificed my life for you, Wilhelm. Where is your thanks for that? I have left my comfortable parents' house to live in this miserable hole for you, Wilhelm. For you and your promises of a better life.
It's not a miserable hole, dearest.
Well, a miserable hole I call it. I have practically sold every bit of carpet, and one after another, every piece of furniture I possessed. How long will I have these chairs to sit on? I don't know. For 3 weeks now, we have tasted nothing but bread and cheese. Sometimes bread alone, and we haven't had enough of that.
I'm sorry, my love. Affairs will improve, I promise you.
Oh, every day, every week, you say that, but nothing ever improves. You are still a little child, Wilhelm, living in your magical world of poetry, fairy tales, and happy endings. Not the real world of hunger, pain, and responsibility. I've had enough, Wilhelm. Tomorrow, I leave.
Go from my window, my dear girl. Go from my window, my dear.
The wind is in the west. The cuckoo's in his nest. You can't have a lodging here.
Go from his window, my dear girl. Go from his window, my dear. The weather, it is warm. It will never do thee harm. You can't have a lodging here.
Go from my window, my dear girl. Go from my window, my dear. The wind and the rain brought you back again. You can't have a harbour here.
Go from his window, my dear girl. Go from his window, my dear. The wind is blowing high, and the ship is lying by, but you can't have a harbour here.
Go from his window, my dear girl. Go from his window, my dear. The devil's in the man, and he will not understand. You can't have a lodging here.
You can't have a lodging here. You can't have a harbour here.
Rose! Rose, where's Sarah?
She's gone to deal with the clothes to Mr. Wakefield at the laundry.
Rose, can I ask you a question, child? Over the past few months, you've become good friends with my sister, Sarah. Is that not right?
Sarah teaches me how to sew, and she's going to teach me how to do embroidery.
And while you're sat here, doing your work together, you must talk sometimes.
Sarah loves talking. She's always telling me stories.
Sharing little secrets as good friends do.
Sometimes she talks about her brother Sammy and how she misses him terribly.
And who else does she talk about?
About her father. She sometimes talks about him too. How some nights he would come home drunk and he would hurt you both.
Father didn't mean to hurt us, Rose. I'm sure. It was the drink that turned him wicked. Does Sarah talk about anyone else?
No.
Are you sure, Rose? Think carefully.
No.
Does she she mention Jimmy to you?
Oh yes, we talk about Jimmy lots. And his father. Jimmy's father sometimes helps in the shop below, and Sarah does little errands during the day for Mr. Barnes. She says Jimmy's father is very old and rather forgetful, but he sees everything that's going on.
What else do you and Sarah talk about?
Just a young man.
A young man? What young man? Who is this young man?
I don't know. A proper young gent, Sarah says. I don't know his name.
How does Sarah know this young man?
I can't say. I promised. They meet and talk and things. They're going to be married.
Married!
Soon.
Pray, listen to me, Rose. This is very important. This young man, does this young man really exist? Is this just one of my little sister's stories, do you think?
Nobody's going to be angry with you, Rose. This is just a little game. The 2v5.
No! He is not a figment of my imagination, sister. We are betrothed.
Betrothed? What do you mean, betrothed?
We are to be married this coming Saturday. Is that not exciting news, Grace? Are you not pleased for me? He is young and handsome, and one day he'll be a famous poet.
Saturday is just 3 days away. Why have you not told me about any of this before? You can't just arrive and announce this out of the blue. Marriage is a serious matter, Sarah. You're too immature to marry.
I'm not a child anymore. I'm 17 years old. Do you not think I've thought about any of this?
And what about father? Have you sought his permission?
What will father care? He doesn't care for me or you.
I forbid this. I absolutely forbid it. You must tell this young man that you are not going ahead with the marriage. Tell him you've had second thoughts. Tell him you
Say what you want, sister. You can forbid what you want. But I intend to marry him on Saturday morning at Christchurch in Newtown. And you cannot stop me.
Will you not delay the marriage? A few days, a few weeks, Sarah? Consider what your sister has said.
This could be my one chance of happiness, Nancy. Could you deny me that?
Happiness? Look at me, Sarah. I'm much the same age as you. A young fella enchanted me. He stayed with me for 2 or 3 months, and then one morning, he upped and left. And then 9 months later, I had little Rosie to remember him by.
But my young man is not like that, Nancy. He has always behaved proper with me, and he has never taken advantage of me. If you have any affection for me, come to the church on Saturday morning, and when you see him, then you will realise why I must do this. Perhaps you can maybe entreat my sister to come and share in my happiness.
We cannot allow this marriage to go ahead. It'll be madness. I must find this young man first thing in the morning. He will feel the sharpness of my tongue, leading a naive young girl astray.
No, I fear you'll only aggravate him further. I will seek him out, and I will persuade him to abandon his foolhardy venture. Come on.
But unfortunately, neither Nancy nor Grace could find the young man.
Why didn't we put 2 and 2 together when the next day Wilhelm did not show up for work and nobody seemed to know his whereabouts?
We asked among the neighbours.
Sent to his lodgings, but to no avail.
He was nowhere to be found. There was no sign of him nor his family.
The thought never entered either of our heads that Sarah's secret betrothed was our apprentice sign-writer, Wilhelm.
Hence, early on Saturday morning, we all gathered outside the church gates.
Once I had a spring of time. It grew by night and by day. till a false young man came a-courting to me, and he stole all my time away.
Time, it is a precious thing.
And time, it will grow on.
And time, it will bring an end to all things.
And so does my time grow on.
Why are we not going into the church, Jimmy? I thought there was going to be a wedding.
Quiet, Father. Seems there's been a misunderstanding.
Where is the groom? Has he not turned up? Jilted her at the altar, I promise.
Quiet, Father.
Where is he? Why is he not here? Can anyone see him?
Perhaps you got the wrong church. I've heard that happen before.
It is time to leave now, Sarah. We've been standing here nigh on 1 hour. 'Tis past all hope he will come now.
We must wait a while longer, sis. He will be here soon. I know he will.
Or perhaps you got the wrong time. There must be a reasonable explanation.
He will be here soon. He will.
The humiliation of it all. He shouldn't be allowed to get away with this. I must track him down and confront him. You must give us his name.
We don't even know where he lives, do we?
Grace, life has taught me one important lesson, which is that the less I have to do with men, the better. An honest, truthful fellow, it's not impossible to find.
I won't forgive this young man for what he's inflicted on my sister. I can't forgive him. I will find him, one way or another.
And then what, Grace? He'll probably deny everything, say it was all your sister's fantasy. We women, we don't stand a chance. Men, they treat us like chattels, to be used and disposed without their whim. And that isn't likely to change. Not in my lifetime, nor yours.
He isn't like that. He spoke most earnestly to me. He promised me his eternal love. That must be some mistake. He loves me. I know it. He will come for me, Grace. I must go back to the park now, to the bench, where we sometimes met and spoke. He will be there waiting for me.
No, Sarah, you can't go now. It isn't proper to go running round after him.
He will be there waiting for me. I know he will.
You can't go now, Miss Sarah. Your sister is right. Tomorrow we'll all go look for him.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, please, come home and rest with us now.
Tomorrow. Promise me.
Tomorrow, we will go seek him together.
You can all leave. I must wait here.
Once I had a sprig of time. It grew by night and by day, till a false young man came a-courting to me, and he stole all my time away. Time, it is a precious thing, and time, it will grow on, and time, it will bring all things to an end, and so does my time grow on. So, we all went back to the lodging house, back to our daily routines. Rose and Nancy went to the laundry, Jimmy went to the solicitor's office, and I started to sweep the shop. There was no sign of young Wilhelm, the apprentice signwriter, all day. Arthur and Wallace were growing increasingly angry about his absence. Then, suddenly, Sarah rushed into the shop.
Was it not the wrong Saturday? Is he at work? Well, where is my betrothed? Wilhelm!
Sarah frantically searched the shop for him.
And then, only then, did we realise who Sarah's betrothed was. And gently, my brother Arthur took her to one side to tell her the truth about Wilhelm.
We never saw Wilhelm or his wife ever again. They just disappeared. Although, for several days after his disappearance, his landlord continued to pester the brothers for his unpaid rent.
I wonder what is keeping my true love this night. I wonder what is keeping him out of my sight.
I wonder if he knows of the pain you endure and stays from you this night. I'm not sure.
Oh, love, are you coming your cause to advance? Or are you waiting for a far, far better chance?
Are you coming for to tell her you have a new love in store? Or are you coming for to tell her you love her no more?
Of an evening, sis, I sit looking at this fire, and I seem to see, like there, where that burning glow is now, there comes like pictures to me.
What pictures, Sarah?
Pictures of you, me and Sammy, who were children that never ever knew their mother.
Don't talk like that, Sarah.
'Tis right though. We never knew our mother. But we knew someone that was both mother and sister to us both. In my pictures there's you and me and Sammy, and Father was away at work, but he's locked us out. And we're sitting on the doorstep. Sometimes we are sleeping, and we fall asleep together in the corner. Sometimes we are hungry, and sometimes we are frightened. But what is worst of all is the cold.
I remember those times too. You always used to try and snuggle under my little shawl.
Sometimes it rains, and we creep under the railway bridge. Sometimes it's dark, and we watch the people as they hurry along the streets, taking no note of us three.
Then at last, Father arrives and opens the door, and home feels like heaven on earth after the rain, the cold night. But, Sarah, these are pictures of the past. Times are better now.
Do you think we'll ever see Father again? Or Sammy?
Of course we will. But don't you see any pictures of the future? Happier times to come?
No, sis. No pictures of the future. Only pictures of the past.
It was a few weeks later when it happened.
It happened without any warning. No sign in the heavens. No sense of impending disaster.
A very ordinary Tuesday morning.
People about their customary business. Grace at the milliner's.
Jimmy's father sweeping the workshop floor, cursing his bad back.
Orders to be finished.
Errands to be run. Just a very ordinary Tuesday morning.
I went upstairs to see if Sarah would take a small order of cards to a customer in Northgate Street.
That was when we found her, hanging from the banister rail on the third floor.
It was too late. By the time we had cut her down, her tiny body was cold and lifeless.
She must have been there for some time before we found her.
Poor soul. Should have never ended like that. I always think we should have done more. Must have been some way we could have changed the course of events.
What is it? Why have I been summoned home from work so suddenly? Where's my sister? Where's Sarah? Has she gone out? To the park? To find her young man? Have you seen her? Have you seen my sister? Where's she gone? Does anyone know? Nancy, please, where's Sarah?
Oh, take me in your arms, love, for keen doth the wind blow. Oh, take me in your arms, love, for better is my deep woe.
The ribbon fair that bound her hair. It's all that's left to me. While here I lie, alone to die, beneath the willow tree.
I once had gold and silver. I thought them without end. I once had gold and silver. I thought I had a true friend.
My wealth is lost. My friend is fallen. My love hath he stolen from me. While here I lie, alone to die beneath the willow tree.
The terrible events of that day shook this place to its foundations.
Especially us. We blamed ourselves for not seeing how events might unfold.
Even though it was not true, everywhere we turned, we seemed to encounter Sarah's memory.
I saw Sarah's face everywhere. There was a feeling in my stomach that told me this friendship was jinxed from the start. But I said nothing.
A few months later, we made the decision.
We decided to shut up shop and move to smaller premises in Bridge Street. Not as comfortable, but away from all these memories.
Some of our lodgers had moved out of their rooms.
Nancy and Rose, however, continued to live here.
And Jimmy and his father stayed too.
Jimmy's father took it very badly. He would sit and he would stare at the shop for hours on end.
We thought that Grace would choose to leave, but she also decided to stay.
Eventually, we saw less and less of them. Tried to get on with business.
Arthur saw Nancy in the street once, but she just ignored him. Walked right past him as though he didn't exist.
A few months later, we heard that Jimmy had proposed to Grace and that together they had eventually tracked Wilhelm down.
He was living somewhere near Mole, working as a farmhand.
Wilhelm? Wilhelm, has another young lady come to speak with you.
About what?
About my younger sister, Sarah. I believe you were acquainted with her.
No, don't believe I know Sarah. Anyway, you must excuse me, there's an urgent appointment I must keep.
There's no need to leave. I've not come to seek retribution. My anger and hatred have dissipated now. There were days when, if I could have laid my hands upon a knife, I would have happily buried it deep in your heart. But those days are gone now. In fact, I have nothing to say to you at all now. No questions, no insults, no threats even. No, I don't even need to hear you express sorrow, or in fact, say anything. I just wanted to look upon you for once, see the cause of my little sister's death. That's all.
Not that it will lighten her feelings of loss, or her sense of guilt.
I expect to live with those for the rest of my life. That's it. I've done what I swore I would do. So we will leave you now.
One of these days, Wilhelm, there'll be a knock at that door that will end all your philandering. There'll be a figure standing here with a knife, frenzied, distraught, and abandoned. And I tell you, I won't close the door against her. I will welcome her in.
I once had gold and silver. I thought them without end. I once had gold and silver. I thought I had a true friend.
My wealth is lost, my friend is false, my love hath he stolen from me, while here I lie alone to die beneath the willow tree.
A strange sense of inertia descended upon us all over the next few weeks. It was almost as if we were locked in a moment of time, unable to move in one way or another, frozen, suspended. We quietly plodded through our daily lives, as if too afraid to awaken each other from our personal nightmare. Silence was everywhere. The sounds of the city became distant and muffled. As for me, the death of Sarah was a particularly cruel blow. The loss of such a young life seemed to suck all the spirit away from my body.
Nancy, did you speak to me just now?
No. Grace said not a word.
There it is again. My dearest Nancy, I believe there's someone in this room with us.
My dear girl, you were up early this morning and you've been busy all day. Right, go to bed now. I'm sure you must need some rest.
No, I must sit here a while longer and collect my thoughts. I don't feel tired tonight.
I've seen her again.
Seen who?
Sarah.
Rose. It is wrong to make up such hurtful things.
I have. I've seen Sarah. Last evening. Out there in the hallway. She beckoned to me and then she went.
Rose, this is all your imagination, child. It is wrong to make up such fanciful tales.
No, let her speak. Please. What else did you see, Rose?
She was carrying a small posy of wild flowers. Like the ones I gave her on my wedding day.
Did she speak? Did she say anything?
She was about to say something, but she stopped and turned away.
And how did she look? What expression did she carry?
She looked... I cannot really describe it.
Did she seem at peace, Rose?
As if she was looking for something.
Did she seem distressed or angry?
No, not distressed, Grace. Just a sad look of yearning in her eyes.
6 months after Sarah's death, the door to 39 Eastgate was locked and bolted, and probably will never be opened again.
The counter. The shelves laden with coloured jars. To the little fixture. Remain just as they had once before.
It was rumoured that the figure of a young girl with a yellow shawl and carrying a posy of wildflowers can be seen through the chinks of the shutters at any time of night, breathlessly wandering around the shop as though desperately searching for something or someone.
And the look of sadness on her features. It appeared that it was her fate to spend eternity trapped inside this dusty shop.
My young love said to me,
My mother won't mind, and my father won't slight you for your lack of kind.
She laid her hand on me, and this she did say.
Oh, it will not be long, love, till our wedding day.
And she went away from me and moved through the fair.
And fondly, I watched her move here and move there.
And then she went onward, just one star away.
like the swan in the evening, moves over the lake.
Last night she came to me. My dead love came in.
So softly she came, her feet made no din.
And she laid her hand on me, and this she did say.
Oh, it will not be long, love, till our wedding day.